the activist, the coolest guy in Philly, the man himself, Maj Toure. How are you, my friend?
What's up, Larry? How are you? I'm wonderful. It's good to be here, man.
Great, man. I'm glad you're here. It's a 250th. I know we're all excited, right?
Yeah, man. I'm excited on one level because
Okay.
I'm optimistic, cautiously, but optimistic for the future. But on a different level, I think that when 250 years floats around, I think people should step back and look at, we beat this average of like when constitutional republics usually are over with.
Right.
And so I just hope that people step back and kind of evaluate, man, republic if you can keep it. And so
Yes. Yes.
so like I'm
Absolutely.
optimistic. I think that people are seeing certain things. I saw something a few days ago that I thought was amazing. It was a group of people that I erroneously and incorrectly prejudged.
Okay.
And they look like what the Liberty Space would call, like normies.
Okay.
And in the process of listening to them, as I was like, oh, they're just regular folks, right? It was so amazing that they were having this conversation about freedom and like, man, I'm not doing that, man. I mean, I got rights. And it just came off so surreal for me because one, it allowed me to check my own little levels of bias.
Was this in Philly?
You know what I mean? This was in Philly.
Okay.
And I just was like, man, and I'm talking about like young dudes that the outer surface of it would look like there's no way that they would be having this conversation
right
now.
Right.
Fit. But in hindsight, I had to evaluate self and go like, who's to say it wouldn't fit? And so it's such a good feeling to see stuff like that. And that kind of gives me a lot more hope going in that direction. You know what I mean?
Well, we were just earlier, I was showing the show that there's a recent poll showing that about 58% of young people under 30 think that maybe violence is the way to get stuff done now in America, to fix things now.
Yes.
So that makes me think that you're going to find a lot of young men who are saying, nah, I guess we fighting then. Like, I'm not going to say yes. I guess we're fighting then. I guess one of us is going to jail or the morgue. I mean, something's going to happen because I'm not doing it. I think that's right. You're going to find more people doing that. And the key is, what is the tipping point, right? What is the tipping point to where if one guy does it, he's just screwed, right? But what is the point to where, how many have to do it to where they go, okay, right? What is that point?
It's funny. That way that you just said that reminded me of one of my favorite movies. It's called V for Vendetta.
Yep.
And in the movie, everybody knew that something wasn't right about what the so-called establishment was doing. Yep. And the detective that was not necessarily V himself, but the detective that was on the case for V, was just like, it'll just takes a moment for, this is what V's trying to do. It just takes a moment for the people to see that he's being bold, but then that the state continues to do things that are just dumb. And in this example, law enforcement shot a child. Yep. And traditionally, where everybody would just be like, well, the chancellor and the state said kind of like fall back, but then the people just were like, absolutely not. And hopefully the will and the vibe and those random conversations, and because they all listen to all our conversations, flock cameras and surveillances all over the place.
Yes.
Hopefully they'll learn that there's more people that are willing to be like, absolutely not. And they'll, go in a different direction, because that is the smartest thing for the state to do. And to the second part of that question, it doesn't have to be the massive amounts of people. Famously, they say only 3% of, people in the American Revolution was like busting a gun against the British, like 3% of the people.
Yep.
And so it doesn't have to be, you got to remember, when your country's like over 350 million people, 10% of that is still 35 million people. And so I think more people are willing to do so many other things before it even gets to violence, just like by just opting out. The last time I was at the airport, it was something like that. I just saw so many people going, nope, opt out. I don't want the body scan. I don't want this. I don't want that. They were just saying no. And so hopefully that's a trend that's going continuing in the direction of liberty.
Well, the other thing, right, is you have to have the right people do it. And the second piece is you have to have some of the enforcers question themselves, right? One of the things that I love when I'm actually out campaigning is very often cops will come to my events. Either state troopers or cops come to my event and they'll be like, yeah, Larry, we got to change something. I don't like what I'm doing. Like they'll say that. They'll be like, I don't like what I'm doing. Like they've heard me say that we've turned a whole bunch of our law enforcement into profit centers. They're not getting bad guys. They're just making money, right? And I say that and they're like, yeah, I didn't join to do that. That's not what I wanted to do. Like I thought I was protecting my community is what I thought I was doing, but I'm not. I'm just like giving people tickets and making them mad at me. Like I'm not protecting my community. I thought I was doing that. So I think when you see some of that, I think that's another good sign when you see that. I can't hear you. Your sound just went away.
I don't think that the job has been honorable in a very long time. And can you hear me?
Yeah, I've lost your signal.
You hear me now?
I hear you, but you're not moving very well.
What the hell is going on? Can you hear me?
Yep, I hear you.
Hello?
Now I'm losing you. I got Maj and now I'm losing the internet. See that? I lost him. They heard it. They were listening. They were literally listening and they were like, I cannot have this man here. I got to get rid of him. See that? That's what it was. The point being, though, is that when the enforcers start getting scared too and saying, look, this is not what I want to do. I'm supposed to be getting bad guys. I don't want to just be giving out tickets and making people mad at me. I think that's also a good thing. I think all of that helps us out tremendously. So yeah, let me grab some more of your comments. I know a lot of you guys are happy to see Maj. That was supposed to be a surprise. So I hope it surprised a bunch of you. So yes, and hold on. And I think I grabbed some of you here. Okay. Mike goes, all the gun control laws are ineffective. They just punish and discourage lawful ownership. That's 100% true. They don't do what their intent. Well, I'm sorry. They don't do what their announced intention is. They do what their intention is, which is what you just said, but they don't do what their announced intention is. So there we go. I think that's true. Yeah. All righty. Where am I here? We covered that piece. Covered that one. Adirondack says, I like free gun zones better. Yes. Let's do some of that. I love that. Let's do some of that. All righty. Bronner does not like gun-free zones. See? That's why you have to have free gun zones instead. He's right. Yes. All right. Craig says, I have a wood stove and 2 fireplaces. Love them. So you're basically in New York, you're anti-American. Yes, that's New York government does not like you. I think you're great. Stay here, but they don't. Yes, Maj. Yes. Hey, Maj. Wait, what? Maj the goat. Hey, Maj. A bunch of Maj is coming. Maj. There we go. Yes, absolutely. Mike says, you get bigger every time I see you. So jealous. That man does not leave a gym. That man's in the gym every day. Yes, making me look bad. Andrea says, I love Maj almost as much as I love Larry. My oldest loves Maj too. She buys his shirts the whole time. So yes, every time I see him, it'd be great. So another Maj. Yep. Maj, the shirt's great, but of the hat. Yep. Absolutely. Yep. Where you can follow Maj. Maj, if you look, if some of you looked at the details, I put his Illusionary Center in the description. So if you want to check that out, feel free. So you can check out what he's doing there also. Mastermind says the oligarchy is praying for a civil war because it's the only way to avoid a revolution. Yes. Bronner says you still have a rifle team in high schools. There's got to be rare in the states these days. There are still some states that have it, but not most. There are still some that have it, but not most. So I think that would be amazing. We have more rifle clubs. I absolutely agree. That would be amazing if we did, but we don't teach people that. And there's some reasons behind that. And, Maj does that. And he is back. How are you, sir?
I'm good. You got me now?
Yes, I got you.
Okay.
We're just talking about in high school, rifle clubs. And the thing that I was said, which I loved about what you do, which is similar. A lot of people didn't understand. Okay, if Maj cares about his community, why is he focused so much on the Second Amendment and gun ownership? Why? And I said, look, you got to understand something. But a lot of people don't get. Look, I never had a gun when I was younger. My father was a cop, so I saw a gun often. It was in the house every day, but I never owned one. I never fired a gun until I was in the Marine Corps. Right? Never fired one before I was in the Marine Corps. But by the way, those who teach firearms know that people who never fired are often the best students. So I was actually a coach in the Marine Corps, so I taught a lot of people how to shoot because I got good at it because I'd never shot before. So I just followed the rules, right? On how to have good marksmanship. I just followed the rules. But the point being, once you have that firearm, you begin to understand how deadly you are and how responsible you must be. And the thing you've said many times in your courses, Maj, which I never forgot, which is if you pull that trigger, whatever happens from that bullet coming out of the muzzle, you're responsible for. It does not matter. If you pull that trigger, whatever happens, you're responsible for. And I remember when you said that, it really hit me. I'm like, you're right. No matter, I got to decide if I want to pull that trigger or not. That's a decision I got to make because once I pull it, I'm responsible. Go ahead.
It's the toothpaste. That toothpaste don't go back in the tube.
Yes.
And you got to make sure you're ready to, it got to be time. And so, and again, this doesn't mean that a person has to be, like nervous. This again, like you said, rifle, shooting teams, clubs.
Yep.
The most decorated Olympian of all times is a woman, Kimberly Rhodes. Yep. She's an Olympic shooter. Shooting for plinking, for having fun, shooting for hunting, shooting for just fun guns for fun and just have a good time. I remember I shot at Hickok 45's house. My point is, it doesn't have to have I don't want anybody to have this ominous feel that like as soon as you touch the gun,
right,
it better be ready for you to shoot the villain from any Marvel comic
right.
book. You know what I mean? But just to have a certain level of respect, to your point, a certain level of respect for this tool and this ability I get to defend life with this. Yes. Violence is not the answer until it's the only answer. And when you train, and to your point, when you have an understanding of the respect that needs to be had for this tool and this power and this right, these are responsibilities at that point. And so making sure that people have that level of information and access and making sure that they're respecting that responsibility that comes with that right, that would do far much more for the unconstitutional legislation that's continuously being proposed. I just find it very interesting to me. We're obviously all here in support of your gubernatorial run. I just find it interesting at the state of New York that, let's say, even if we minimize it down to the city, to, the boroughs, it's just very interesting to me that we speak so much about trying to change racism and change, the disenfranchised, disempowered communities, which I agree with. But then a lot of times those same public servants would get behind, arguably, the longest standing systemic racism in American history, which is gun control. True. And when I say that, I think people thought I was being like tongue in cheek and funny. It's so absurd when you say all gun control is racist that people be like, oh, you're just doing a play on words. No, I'm not. Literally. Plymouth, Virginia. Like, it was like the first thing we got to do is make sure that the black people don't have no guns. And so it's just so funny to me to watch these candidates that won't honestly acknowledge the most racist, systemically flawed issue that's the biggest stain on our flag. And so hopefully for the 250th year, we can start having more honest, public servants like yourself that are just honestly saying like, listen, bro, because we want the human right to defend life and we want to attack the oldest form of systemic racism in America, this does not mean that we're saying we want the Wild West and we want everybody outside just shooting at each other because it's a Tuesday. Like, that's stupid. And so hopefully more people will come around to that holistic approach. And I think, man, I have to give you so much credit, man, for being somebody that's willing to say, hey, I'm going to make my life more difficult because I believe in the state of New York, the people of New York, and putting your money where your mouth is and consistently fighting this race. I mean, like, I ran for local office.
I remember.
And it was like the most stressful time of my life. And to have a candidate such as yourself that is living and exercising and showcasing these liberty values, taking on some of these biggest issues. And, you know, arguably obviously a lot of people say, you know, New York's the greatest city. New York's a great state. And it is. You know, I don't give that much power to the negativity to act like some of the things that are wrong with our great American cities and our great states. I don't give that energy to that. And so for somebody like you to consistently be saying, we can hammer this, we can educate, we can empower. It's amazing, man. It's a marathon, and you are running it. And so I gotta always give you your flowers, man, because people are so silly and so say a whole lot, but they don't, you know, when it's due time, when it's time to do and what people have been doing, that's a different conversation. So I always just want to make sure that everybody understands the importance of what you're doing, liberty in action. You know what I mean? I
appreciate that. Absolutely. Thank you for that. Thank you. And it's one of the reasons why I keep pushing the idea, because if we can fix New York State, we can fix the country.
Yeah.
Right? We have the worst gun laws. The worst. And what I keep saying, I've been talking about the idea of the wealth gap and all these things forever, right? We have the worst wealth gap in the entire country and the worst gun laws. And we still have mass shootings, and we still have school shootings, and we still have gang violence. All the things that this is supposed to stop don't stop.
Right.
And we still have Dexter Taylor in jail, who didn't do anything wrong. Right. So we still have all these things. So, and if you're going to give me 8,000 laws, then I should live in utopia by now, right? Should my life be perfect? Should I have a jetpack, and I should go off to have my hot women all around me and my beautiful car and everything perfect because I got 8,000 laws? Well, I got 8,000 laws. I still can't pay my rent. I'm not. That doesn't make any sense, right? My kids still can't read. I don't understand.
You know what's crazy? I actually would contend that even a little bit more liberty-loving people, we're not this. We just want to say F the system all the way. It's not like in a vacuum that this is happening, right?
Right.
And I would contend, if you saw more of a Shangri-La in some of these places, more liberty people would, because we're by and large, we're objective. We would kind of be like, well, I don't know, guys. It's kind of perfect over here.
Right.
But to your point, that's not happening. Y'all giving me all of these laws, and I'm having these same problems. So
nothing's changing.
And backwards.
Yes. You know, I joke often about Norway, because Norway is a small country and they have a lot of great stuff in Norway. It's true. But they also have a $1 trillion sovereign fund, which just throws money at it. Right. So then people go, well, it's like socialism. Well, no, when you add capitalism. Right. So when you add $1 trillion for 5 million people, you get healthcare. You get health. I'm Oprah with healthcare at that point. Right. You got all the money. It's totally fine, right? So if you're going to do that, then the Norwegians go, yeah, you could have some socialism. I don't mind, because they're getting utopia. They're fine with it. They get utopia.
Some socialism. The socialism can exist off of the host. The host is huge.
Correct.
The $1 trillion for this 5 million people is huge.
Yes.
And then they go, okay, cool. And, you know, it just depends on if people want to have honest views and look at this for real from a legitimate perspective.
Absolutely.
If you really want to go, okay, cool. Does this make the quality of life better for Americans? I mean, okay, cool. We got some socialism. We got the fire department. We got tax dollars going to that. I'm not mad per se at a mixed economy. Mm-hmm. Something you say all of the time, like, if you guys want to do communism and socialism over there in that commune in America, okay, cool.
Yep.
If y'all want to do it, you have the freedom and the liberty to do that.
Yep.
Now the question becomes, when you can't buy the land and you can't build the homes for the people to be on this commune, maybe you guys want to sell some stuff at a free market enterprise, and then maybe you guys start the whole commune thing over again. But you have the right to do that. So I'm not, we're not mad at the mixed economy concept in a freedom-based space. The question just becomes, if the government is doing these things and the restrictions that it's applying to allegedly make these things better, if you have a legitimate and honest, and we got to have good faith conversations.
Yep.
Is this actually making your quality of life better? We'll be talking about most of the areas of human activity: education, entertainment, law, politics, religion, sex, war. Like if this is 7 out of 10 in most of those areas, say it. But if it's not, you have to honestly say, nah, it's not. And if we're breaking even if it's exactly even, but you're giving me more and more restrictions,
why? Yeah.
Then it's not worth it. And so
absolutely,
you just have a way, you personally have a way of just breaking stuff down in a way that I think the general public that feels what we're saying, you have a way of breaking it down in a manner that the people go, that's what I was feeling. That's what I was feeling. And that guy's like him. What he's saying is what's in my head.
I'm trying my best. So, well, D is on your side. She goes, you like Maj's shirt? Go check out his merch. blackgunsmatter.shop. Yes, please go check it out. My daughter owns several of his shirts and she wears them all the time, but she only wears them in certain places because we live in New York City. So she can only wear them in certain places. She can't wear them every place. Remember, she got that communism one, and we got Mamdani now. So that shirt's not popular no more. So
are the people that are in New York City, like boots on the ground, how are they feeling like about Mamdani?
They love him.
Really?
Love him. He's at like 65% approval rating. They love him. And I tell you why. People don't understand why. 2 reasons. Number one, what people who are more logical minded don't understand. His policies are bad, but we're not going to see the outcome for years. We're not going to see it. It takes a time for the market to respond. We're not going to see for years. So for right now, he just got elected. He is charismatic he's so charismatic, and he's doing promises made, promises kept. Looks like he's doing stuff. Plus, it's going to sound dumb, but it's still true. The Knicks won. You know what I'm talking about. And as soon as Trump showed up, that was the first loss in 14 games for the Knicks, and they never lost again. The day Trump showed up, the Knicks lost. After that, they won. He is good at that. He has given this city, it's false hope, but he's given them hope. It's true. He's given them hope. So they love him now. Now that will come back to bite him.
Yeah.
Not going to come back now.
It's interesting. Him, when he was on The View, and he openly said, I'm a democratic socialist. Yep. And I was looking around like, he just threw it away. Everybody's going to go, what? And the way that he charismatically explained it, he didn't explain what it actually meant.
Didn't have to.
But for the people that know what it means, was like, did you hear what he just said? But the general public that watches The View and the ladies on The View, he did it in such a smooth way.
Yes, he did. You saw it.
It gave me like Barack Obama-esque.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And
I had him on my show 3 years earlier.
Yeah.
I had him on my show 3 years earlier. He called himself a sewer socialist on my show openly. And I literally warned the Republican Party. This guy's real. They laughed at me. They ignored me. That's stupid. They just ignored because I said, no, you don't understand. This guy's good. He is bold. And remember, when you look at most left and right, generally speaking, the left really wants to feel empathy and the right wants to feel strength. But if you can do both, oh my God, right? When you can do both, very much so. If you're only strong, Democrats don't like you. They think you're dumb, right? You're bullied. They don't like you. You got to have empathy and then show strength. You remember when Biden was at his top is when he was threatening to beat up Trump. Remember Biden was like, I'm going to take Trump out back and beat him up. Democrats ate that up. They were like, give me some more of that. That's candy. They could not stop eating that. They loved it. So when Mamdani says, I'm a socialist, what do you got? They're like, damn, we love that. That's strong. That's not falling back. And he's good at it. He's charismatic. He's good at it. He's giving them hope. I think it's going to come back and bite him. None of his policies are actually good, but you're not going to see anything for 2 years. So he's got 2 years to ride on it. How does
he spin that in 2 years? What does he say?
I'm going to tell you already. He's going to blame every single thing on Trump. Guaranteed. I'll bet you money. When everything collapses, about, if only Trump had, if Trump had done, if Trump had, he will blame. And again, Democrats hate Trump. They will believe it. They will eat all of that up. They will believe it. I'm telling you the truth. I called the whole thing. It is going to happen. They are going to believe.
This is the part of politics that I'm interested and entertained by.
Yep.
But I don't know if I'll be good at it because it's almost very silly.
Yes.
It becomes very like, again, when I say the fact of the matter is, a lot of my friends, because I still have obviously friends and family on the left, and they'll use the phrases like, "Oh, you're literally a Nazi," and I'm like, okay, yes. You understand that the Nazi was a socialist party. And even to break it down to them and like sit down right now, my book for the last month was Gun Control in the Third Reich by Stephen P. Hallbrook. And it talked about how the Weimar Republic, the left and the right of that republic, were both advocating for unarming the citizenry. And then the Nazis took over and was like, gotcha, nobody gets guns. And so then the massacre happens. And so And looking at history and seeing and being able to explain to people like, you just voted for mob rule and a shifting of a transfer of your wealth via mob rule, if I could simplify that democratic socialist framework. And when they fall for just a charismatic dude, like when you tell somebody, hey,
But hold on, I gotta. If you ever watch, there's a lot of stories about when they ask people, why did you fall for Hitler back in the 30s? Why? And they will often tell you, he made us feel like Germans again. He made us feel proud again. We had nothing. Before him, we had nothing. With him, we had something. We had pride. We had something. They say that all the time. And I'm telling you, when you look at people in New York right now, they have no hope. The youngsters, they're not going to buy a car. They're not going to buy a house. They can't get a girlfriend. They can't get a boyfriend. They have no hope. Dang. So when you go to them and you go, you can't do Mom Donnie, you're doing X, Y, and Z. What they hear is, so I can't pay my rent. I got to live with my mom at 30. And your answer for me is a history lesson? Yeah. And your answer to me is an economics lesson? I haven't been laid in 3 years and your answer is a history lesson? Yeah. I can't buy a new car. My friends are laughing at me, and your answer is an economics lesson. Mom Donnie going to give me a free bus.
Good. I don't want to feel bad and have to deal with the hard reality of working out of this.
Correct.
Give me hope. Give me change. Give me them Barack Obama slogans.
Yes.
I need more of that in my blood.
That tastes good. I want some more of that. And that's the issue. The problem you have with so many people, which is why I do what I do, is they have no answer. And I say all the time, you give somebody a bad answer and no answer, they take the bad answer. They take it. It's only one. If I'm drowning and a hand comes out to grab me, I don't care what's on that armband.
Yeah.
I don't care if there's a swastika on that armband, if there's a hammer and sickle on that armband. I don't care what's on that armband. That's a hand to pull me out of the water.
You don't even know if it's taking you to safety. You just know I got something to grab onto.
I got something to grab on. He might be putting me in another pot. He might be, but I know he's pulling me out of this one.
Wow.
I take it. And that's where people are right now. And that was my conversation earlier about this. Americans, particularly young Americans, they're in a spot where I just need something. Yeah. I'm dying. Right. And I mean, look, I was talking about it before. When I grew up as a kid, when I was in high school, my dad already died, but my mom was paying a mortgage on a house. We had 2 cars. They were old, but we had 2 cars, right? So we had a house and 2 cars. And rich people, back in those days, they would buy maybe like a yacht, right? If you were rich, you buy a yacht. Well, I did know somebody who had a boat. So it wasn't so far away, right? It makes any sense, right? Now, if I'm 30, my mom was in the 30s when she owned that house. Nobody in the 30s owns a house. That's not a thing. You don't have 2 cars. You maybe got 1 if you're lucky and it's not new, right? Yeah. So you maybe got 1, it's not new. And the rich go to the moon. They go to space. Yeah. They got 6 yachts. They got super yachts. So the gap is so big. And then Mamdani says, look how evil they are. They're bad. They're wrong. And I go, yeah, they are. Why? He gets to go to the moon and he gets to have 6 yachts. Yeah. And I can't pay my note on my car for my insurance. Damn. I got a ticket and now I got to work, I got to work overtime this weekend because I got to pay my speeding ticket because I can't afford it. Mm. But he got his 3rd yacht. Yeah, go get him, Mamdani. Go beat him up. That's how I feel.
Sourcing everything, including our hope.
Yes, which is why I keep trying to give hope. I keep trying to explain ownership mindset. This is why I love what you do. What you do is you give people idea that I have responsibility. I have responsibility. I can change it myself. I can do it myself. I can make it happen. I'm not a victim. I don't need Mamdani to be my vindicator. I can be my own vindicator. I don't need Joe Biden to be my vindicator. I could be my own vindicator. And if more people see that, then we don't fall for it. Yeah. But when I think there's nobody there for me and Mamdani goes, I'm here for you, I go, okay, of course I do. That's why I'm not mad. Like, I'm not mad. I'm saying I got to get a better answer. I got to find something better. I got to work harder for this. I'm not mad at them. I get it. No one's giving you an answer. Here comes charismatic Mamdani who jump in the river and pretend like he's in the beach or whatever. And it sounds cool. And he says he's going to beat up the bad guy for you. I'm going to beat the rich guy up. He's the bad guy. I got you. And I think, good, go beat him up. Give me my free bus.
It's so amazing to me that his family comes from wealth too.
Yes. Yes. Yes, absolutely.
But again,
yes,
if they'll conveniently ignore that part of the story because he's Bruce Wayne for them. He's going to go fight the bad dudes.
That's right. He's Batman, so it's fine. He's gonna go beat the joke up. He's gonna take him for you. He got you. So it's all good. 100%. So, by the way, Craig has a Black Guns Matter shirt.
What's up, Craig? I appreciate you, bro.
So he's already got one.
Everybody that was going to go, anybody that has a shirt. I want to do something for everybody right now. Everybody that can show me whether you have a shirt or not. Everybody that shows me that they have donated to Larry's campaign. I want to give you 10% off of everything over at blackgunsmatter.shop. So everybody should just email me.
Damn, here we go.
My email is maj2ray@solutionaryuniversity.org. If you show me that you've donated, and I would love for everybody to donate today. If you just shoot me a DM on whatever platform, X, Instagram, whatever, just shoot me a DM. Yo, Maj, I donated to Larry's. I don't care how much it is. I don't care. I know it's tight. If you do the minimum, everybody should do the minimum. Every single person should do the minimum. Minimum should be the minimum. If you go donate, I'm going to give you, matter of fact, I'm going to give you 15% off at blackgunsmatter.shop. I want to make sure that everybody is understanding we can win. We just got to have a collective put together of people going, nah, I'm going to get behind that, right? So I'm going to do things in my favor. I want everybody to fund the situation. I'm saying this because we just saw Thomas Massey, who's, a buddy of ours.
Yep.
They ratcheted up and spent $30 million to keep him on their own team.
Yes.
On their own team, they spent $30 million to get somebody that's liberty-minded out of the situation. The great thing about this scenario currently with Larry, to a certain extent, is all we got to do is get everybody to get on board. Once he gets in, then we'll start having the smear campaigns and this and that, and we'll work around that. We'll
can't wait.
With that bridge when we get to it. The great thing about this is Larry has tons of solutions. Larry has been consistent, and we all should be doing something to make sure that we're. I don't know how much is in Larry's campaign. However, if it's not $10 million, to me, it seems like a travesty. To me, and this is me saying, okay, it's not 10 million.
No.
To me, it seems like a travesty. And so if we say we understand and support one of our working class heroes, father, military, this, that, all of these things, liberty-minded focus, we can beat the Goliath. We just got to collectively work together. And so what I'm going to do is just shoot me a DM. I don't care if it was the past. I want every single person to just donate again. If you donated before to Larry's campaign, donate half of what you donated before. But if you haven't donated,
thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
I'm telling you, and if you're doing it to get the 15% off, great. Tell me that. Let's make a story out of it. You guys, we can win. We can win city by city, state by state. This is what grassroots looks like. And so I want to extend that to everybody. Please, guys, make sure you are going over to LarrySharp.com/donate. Take a screenshot, shoot me a DM. It's me. I got my phone right here, right? It's me. I'll make sure I send you a code, get 15% off. We have to support with our resources, our energy, our time, our platforms. We have to support the people that are doing amazing work and get behind our champions for liberty. So please, guys, LarrySharp.com/donate.
Thank you, my friend.
Everybody, please make sure you go there and support.
I do have to ask a question. Are you coming to Freedom Fest next week?
No. I'm
going to miss you there. Usually I see you. All right.
So I am I'm building something.
There's one good thing. My daughter couldn't make it this year.
Yeah.
So now she won't be mad because she wanted to see you. So she won't be there. Okay. So she'll be okay now. Okay. Right. That's good.
Yo,
okay.
when we get off tonight, because I don't have her IG. Send her IG and I'll tell her, like, I'll give her a thumbs up, like, hey, this year we won't both be going. Good. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Okay. Good.
But yeah, man, I just really, really, truly appreciate you, man. Like, I mean, the conversations that we've had at times when I've struggled with even our own team. And you're like, team Shmeem, they're the team. They're just mad right now. Don't worry about it, right? I just want everybody watching to understand that when someone, bar none, a lot of people in the liberty space will say these things, but Larry has literally reached out to me, say, hey, watch out for this. Think about this. What about this? And I think that type of teamwork and effort to support the squad is real. And there's a lot of people in the liberty space that I know, like, appreciate and can respect, but they haven't moved the same way. They have not moved as principally. And so I just want everybody to understand it. And guys, whatever you can, please, please, please repost. If you're following Larry on X, turn the post notifications on. Then when something is tweeted, just repost it. Okay. It doesn't have to mean you gave $100,000, $200,000. If you're a rich person and you're watching, if you got that, cool. Donate and support it, especially if you're, in the New York area. Outside of that, the people that are all across the country that are watching today, sometimes it's just as simple as 1,000 people on social media platforms reposting stuff every day and getting that word out. Do not ignore that type of reach. So I just want to continue to say that and just make sure
I appreciate that tremendously.
Yeah, man.
I do. So I got a couple comments here I want to grab if I can, maybe a comment or two before I let you go. I know you got to run, but Robin says, I work with many young people and they're so lost. It's sad. They haven't been given anything to ground them. That's very true. A lot of them are lost. And what's the old saying? If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
Yep.
And that's it. They're not standing for stuff. I completely agree. I think it's really an issue. I agree completely. So Super Weapon says socialism is difficult to defeat in the modern era because envy is the worst sin of them all.
Ooh. Very true.
Yes. Craig says, I have 4 kids, all in their 30s, all on homes, but we live in Iowa. I'm glad I should move to Iowa, as you tell me. Okay. By the way, I happen to love Iowa. Interesting story. I am an honorary lifetime member of the Libertarian Party of Iowa.
Really?
Yes. I have 3 states I'm an honorary member of: California, Iowa, and I think Wisconsin. I think there's 3. So I'm 3 states I'm an honorary member of.
Iowa is such a beautiful place and it's slept on. I'm talking about they got these blue lakes and rivers, and some of my homies that are over there like, shh, don't tell anybody. Don't you do it, Maj. We don't. Shh, it's horrible here. And one of my friends was like, they confused us with Idaho, and we love it. They think it's nothing here but potatoes. And don't tell nobody. It's beautiful in Iowa.
I know. I love Iowa. I've been there more than once. I've spoken at their Libertarian Party multiple times, and that's why they made me an honorary lifetime member of the Iowa Libertarian Party. So yes, obviously I'm a member. I don't live in Iowa, but I get to be honorary, so it's nice. I don't have voting rights. I just get to show up at the events and be like, "Hey, how you doing?" That's all. That's my whole goal. So anyway, Maj, thank you, my friend, for coming. I appreciate all your time. Whenever you show up, appreciate it. Too bad I will miss you at Freedom Fest this year. Maybe next time. We'll see. You said you're building something. Do you want to bring up what you're building? Do you want to talk about it or no?
It's the Solutionary Center on steroids.
Okay. All right. Well, you keep me in touch. When you want to promote it, let me know. Come back on.
Will do. I appreciate you, my brother.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon. All righty. Bye. So, yes, that was the one and only Maj Toure, of course. Nosy says, who is this Maj? Never seen him before. Where can I find him? His links are right there. Check out his links. They are in my description. You can check them out. I've known Maj for many years. Maj ran for local city office in Philadelphia, I think in 2019, perhaps, in that area. Did not do as well as he wanted to do. And I literally took a trip down to Philadelphia and had lunch with him, talk to him. So yes, we've had that back and forth. We've had it back and forth probably 8 years now, 7 years or so. So yeah, that's why whenever I grab him, he's always happy to come on and say hi and enjoy that. So I appreciate that. Bronna says, long show tonight. Must get some ice for my vodka. Please do so. I appreciate that. D says, Maj has done some solid work. Share his stuff too. I appreciate that. That is awesome. Please do so. Absolutely. And yep. Go to Idaho, not Iowa. That's what he's saying. Yes. I'm Iowa right now. There we go. Keep flying over. You guys don't want this. I love it. Chris says, great show, guys. There we go. I love that. There we go. That's amazing. So yes, the Solutionary Center on steroids. Yes, I think that's amazing. I think that was good. Veronica, that was great surprise seeing Maj. I think it is. Yes, absolutely. So let me wrap up with the Second Amendment. I thought it was a good idea to have him on for that. Let me do another Second Amendment piece real fast if I can. I'll pop that piece on right now if I can get back to the Second Amendment piece before we go. All right. Let's see here. Larry, does Maj have rum? I don't know. Does he? I'm looking. Hold on. Yes, I'm sorry. A couple of rumble rants here. Phil says, Maj bringing that Philadelphia freedom. Let's cause some controversy. Best place to get a cheesesteak. Also, why is Philly better than New York City? It isn't. So that's a mooted question. Appreciate the point, though. It is not. Yes, he does know where to get Philly cheesesteak, though. He does. He actually does. If you go to his social media, he will talk about Philly cheesesteaks. Like he does talk about it. Like if you want to know where to get one, his social media, he will talk about it. If you happen to be in Philly, he will hook you up. Yes. Robin says, Larry, this is my first time with you. It's been the quickest hour spent in years. I'll be back. Come on back, brother. I'm here almost every day. Yes. I'm here almost every day. I love that. So there we go. All right. Did I cover that one? Instagram still doing fine. Won't miss that one. All right, let me see if I can find this real fast. Hold on. I got some more stuff going on. Let me grab that. Okay, hold on. This is what was sent to me. Let me get this up here now. There it is. I found it. Here it is. There we go. Thank you so much for that. I do appreciate it. All right, let me grab this real fast if I could to wrap this up. What Corleone is telling us.
Carry, just not here or here or here or there. The right on paper, gutted in practice. That's the playbook. And it's the same playbook waiting for this ruling. Because when the Supreme Court says something is unconstitutional, then what? Nobody goes to jail. Nobody's catching fire.
And that's the point he brings up, right? So when the Supreme Court says this is BS, this is no good, right? Well, so the governor doesn't get arrested. The judge doesn't get punished. Nothing at all.
The state slow walks it, rewrites the ban with new words, and dares you to sue all over again. All it takes.
Literally what New York State did. For those you don't know, once the Brawner case came out, New York State gave 10 more laws, gun control laws. One of those laws is why Dexter Taylor's in jail right now.
This is one anti-gun administration walking in the door to push the exact same ban under a brand new name.
And those appeals will presumably be heard during the court's upcoming term in October.
So October, mark it. If they're just going to dodge the ruling, why does any of this matter? One word. Precedent. The second the court says assault weapon bans are unconstitutional, we finally have the legal ground to chase down every workaround.
Bingo. Then we have to get the work begins.
Every loophole, every gun-free zone.
Then
we
the work
drag
begins.
them right back into court and beat them with their own ruling. That's the win we've been waiting a decade for. But I've been talking this whole time like the W is in the bag. It isn't. Flip the coin the other way for a second. If the court says assault weapon bans are just fine, it gets ugly fast. Every anti-gun state takes that ruling in sprints. And the purple states sitting on the fence, they start drafting their own bans overnight because now they've got cover from the highest court in the country. That's the coin we're watching spin. The biggest Second Amendment stakes in a generation resting on 9 people in robes. So here's where we land. The court's finally going to rule on whether your state can ban your rifle. Getting here at all is a massive win.
That is true. That is absolutely true. Barry's hit it perfectly.
We're no longer being ignored, but the ruling is round 1, not the final bell. Win and the fight moves to forcing them to honor it. Lose and then the floodgates open. Either way, this does not end at the courthouse. It ends with whether we stay loud, stay engaged, and fight for every single inch, the same way they fight for every single inch of ours. Eyes are on October. That's when arguments start. I'll break down every piece of it as it drops.
Yes, so I wanted to bring it up and wrap that piece up if I could. That part was important. I want to make sure we got that part, but there's another piece I want to bring up. I covered a bunch of these, and this part here I think is important. I'm going to bring up next. This is what we've been talking about. This is the idea. Oh, let me grab this real fast. Libertarian, a social democrat, says you and Maj never give any LP outreach to black people. True, we don't. True, we don't. In fact, if you look at this channel, a lot of black people come on this channel. It's true. A lot do. Dan from Internet comes on this channel. Mike Voss on this channel. I go on Sabina Savati's show. Maj comes on this channel. Yeah, it's true. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. So, yeah. So, it is definitely true. Common sense tyranny. I like that. That is pretty good. Yes. All right. So, let me move to the next piece if I could here. This part. This is what I talked about with Maj was the idea of why the left thinks the way the left thinks the way it does, right? Let me show you one of the more popular guys who does this. This guy's name is, the name he goes by is Second Thought. That's the name that he goes by. He's very popular when it comes to socialism. He thinks socialism is the answer. All capitalism is bad, but he's explaining what he thinks here. Here we go.
Is fracturing. That isn't coming from me. It isn't some old quote from Al's Little Red Book. It's coming from Larry Fink, billionaire CEO of one of the world's largest investment companies, BlackRock.
BlackRock.
They're pretty much running everything.
Is BlackRock evil? This is one of those companies that is a juggernaut.
A company that manages trillions of dollars of assets.
And you will hear him always do this. He will always say things once it's big, it's by default bad. I will have a counter argument after this, but I want you to hear how he discusses it. Mike said a ton of black people are not Dems. True. I think it surprises many who aren't into politics a lot. Very true, Mike. It's very true. People assume, oh, you're black, you're Democrat. Don't get me wrong. There are a lot of black Democrats. That's true. But the base of the Democratic Party is heavily black women as a general rule. But still, lots of people who are black are not that. I completely agree. Yes.
Has clients in over 100 countries, and together with its clones, Vanguard and State Street, owns roughly 20% of any given company in the S&P 500.
This is
if
true.
Anybody should be worried about capitalism being over, it's not you and me, it's this guy.
See, he thinks that we're only being harmed by capitalism. We're only harmed. There is no good thing in his mind for capitalism. It's only for the elites.
And he's worried. But before we celebrate, is he even right? Well, for one, he's not alone. A lot of big, important capitalists have already been sounding the alarm for a while. In 2023, the CEO of the French investment bank Société Générale was saying basically the same thing.
This is true. They were all concerned. Libertarian Social Democrat says GOP is too racist and Dems are too woke, but LP is needed. Well, I got to tell you, not just that. I think the issue is the Republicans don't even know how. They don't have the institutional knowledge to even try to talk to the black community. The only guy who did it ever well at all was Trump, and because Trump didn't care. Like if Republicans ever come into black communities, the vast majority will either be so out of touch or pander. One of those two. Trump just walked in and said, hey guys, I'm here. You want jobs? Great. And we were like, yeah, that sounds amazing. But you got to search to find Republicans who can do that. And Democrats just assume, oh, you're black, you vote for me. What did Biden say? Biden said it. If you don't want to vote for me, you ain't black. He said it. So I think you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
And every year since, we've lurched from one disaster to another as this whole thing seems to barely stay afloat. Massive inflation, a year of never-ending layoffs, and now a global trade war and bombing in the Middle East that have put World War III back on the table right as we're being told AI is going to replace everybody. In Larry's 2026 letter to shareholders, he's predicting the end of the same signals.
See, he's also about that. Yeah. There we go, Bronner. You ain't black, Jack. Joe dribbling Biden. You're not wrong. Yes. There we go. So, alrighty. But the problem is, though, I keep saying this, I never got my new race in the mail. I assumed the government would then go, I didn't vote for Biden, that I would get a new race in the mail or something. I thought I'd get that. I never got it in the mail. Mike, did you get yours? I didn't get mine. And I was saying which one I wanted. I was going to go with Filipino. I love Filipino people. So I thought if I got to pick a race now, because I can't be black anymore, maybe I'll pick Filipino. But they never gave me the option. That was my choice. I don't know. What were you going to be, Mike? Tell me. I don't know. But Mike says, this guy's on the internet using cameras and equipment that only exists due to capitalism. Stop with the logic, Mike. Damn you. Damn you.
Things are bad. Workers are worse off today than they were 40 years ago. AI is going to get us. It's all crumbling. And we're not even building infrastructure like we used to. And if that wasn't enough, we might soon have a new financial crash on our hands.
And I'm worried about something worse than a recession.
We are headed for a U.S. dollar crisis.
When this thing crashes, it's going to crash. When this thing crashes, it's going to be like mashing up.
So this guy, whenever he talks about this, he will always talk about how everything's going to crash, the world's ending. He always does. But he has almost 2 million followers. This guy's popular. People watch his stuff. If you're left-leaning, you watch it. I watch lots of left-leanings. That's how I know how to speak to these people. I watch this guy, so I know what he does. I watch the guys who just spend all day beating up on Trump. I watch their stuff. I know. So Bronner says, don't fret, Larry. I'm still waiting for my white privilege card to show up in the government mail. See, they probably got crossed. That's the problem. If you get my race card, let me know what race I am. If I get your white privilege card, I'm going to keep it. So you have to order a new one. Anyway, yeah.
The dot-com thing with the financial crisis, because this is so much larger.
Wall Street execs have recently warned that the private credit market's not looking so good. A few bankruptcies and plummeting stock values are starting to snowball and could become the seeds for a new depression.
Yeah, but depression doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to have a problem. So maybe. Mastermind says, Larry's race that I got lost in my $2,000 check. Yeah, we should get checks too. All right, here's what I want. When your $2,000 check comes to me, I'm keeping it. And when I get the white privilege card, keeping it too. But just let me know what race I am so I can check the boxes right. I'm still checking black, so I gotta. They probably put me in jail for that. I'm not black anymore. Damn, I gotta check white now. I don't know what to check. Leave other. I'll do other. I was told by a liberal acquaintance that I'm racist because I went to Glacier National Park. National parks are racist. It's true. You didn't know that. It's true. Yeah. Libertarian Social Democrat says, thank you $2. As a libertarian Muslim, any tips to outreach? There are some Muslims. I remember one of the more there are some Muslims in the libertarian bar. You do find them. They're not as popular as you would think. But I think if you're looking to reach to the Muslim population, it is the freedom to be Muslim is what it really is, right? Remember something. The more authoritarian the nation is, or the government is, or the culture is, the more they punish minorities, right? The more libertarian it is, the more they don't. Remember, socialists can survive in a libertarian world. Libertarians can't survive in a socialist world, right? Amish thrive in the libertarian world. They're libertarians. I mean, they're socialists in their own world, but they're free to do whatever they want. The reverse can't be true, right? So a libertarian world allows people to be free to be who they want to be. They're not going to attack minorities. The second the government, the culture becomes more authoritarian, they attack minorities every single time. The more libertarian it becomes, the less they attack minorities. They just leave them alone. Now, Democrats will sometimes prop up minorities as ways to punish others. Libertarians just leave everybody alone. And that's the issue.
It really seems like capitalism's tearing at the seams because this just can't keep going on. Or maybe it can. Hey, everybody. Just wanted to take a quick second to
zip past that
podcast merch. So we do this without you. And now, back to the show. If history's any guide, there's just centuries like this where nothing changes, it all keeps getting worse, and we all suffer.
Now,
so to know if any
you might say, Larry, why am I showing you this? Because remember, this is what a lot of youngsters watch. If you are a under 30 left-leaning American, the odds are very high you at least know who this guy is. If you haven't watched his stuff, you know who he is. You might have watched a lot of his stuff. That piece is very important.
This will kill the beast. We need to think about capitalism much, much more deeply than simply pointing to things going wrong. We can't just do Finkus slopulism. Let's start with the basics.
Now he says we can't be sloppy. Then listen to what he says now.
What are we even talking about when we say the end of capitalism? Capitalism is a system that guarantees the existence of the rich in a world where the poor outnumber them but need to work for them in order to live.
That's what he just said. Capitalism is where the wealthy hang around and the poor serve them. That sounds like monarchy. That sounds also, by the way, like oligarchy under socialist and Soviet Russia and currently China. Like, that sounds like Saudi Arabia. Like, that sounds like every other place. But this is what he believes. He says it, and no one questions him. I'm going to be able to rebut this in a minute, but I want you to hear this.
That was about the shortest one-sentence definition I could come up with. It's pretty vague, but it gets to the point.
It's not. It's very vague. You just said not to, and it does not cover the point at all.
This is what capitalism is about, and that's how it works. For it to end, these things have to no longer be true.
Oh.
Looking around, there's very little risk of that right now. So let's get a better, longer definition that gets progressively more complicated and accurate as we go, so we can refine our analysis a little.
See?
Capitalism is a political, social, financial, and economic order that began sometime in the 16th, maybe 17th century. What makes capitalism is the way that this order is organized around a specific set of rules and conventions. The most important of which are the right to private property and the imperative use of that right to make a profit.
See, this, by the way, in his view, is terrible. This is like an insult. Private property. Fucking losers. That's how he says it. So the right to private property, dumb. He says it. And the ability for someone to use their private property to make profit, stupid, right? That's how he's saying it.
For example, by hiring those who don't have private property to produce commodities and paying them less than the revenue that their work generates.
So he says by hiring people who don't have property, not at all an issue with capitalism at all, and paying them less than what they generate, not true at all because it doesn't count expenses. And this is like Marxism 101, which doesn't work, hasn't worked, is a terrible concept and doesn't work at all. This is totally relevant.
Or by trading debt as money with the confidence that states and central banks will protect the value of those assets in times of liquidity crises, periodically rolling over the moment that the market ceases to exist so that capitalists can continue to transact.
Now that is crony capitalism, right? But he says that's capitalism. He said capitalism is what he just said, right? When the people who have property, I guess magically, those magical people who have property, they didn't earn it. They hire people who don't have property. So you can't have property if you have a job, you don't have any property. And then they don't pay them enough because they're evil for that. And then the government supports them no matter what happens because they trade stuff. And then when it goes under, they get bailed out. Okay, that happens. But he says that's capitalism.
In other words,
and a lot of people believe that to be 100% true.
Capitalism is a collection of strategies for the elite to stay the elite indefinitely.
This is what he honestly believes. Capitalism is a system for the elite to stay the elite indefinitely. He does not recognize how it's brought people out of poverty. He does not recognize how it's made people go up and down. He does not recognize that at all. He does not recognize that. And there's no one here he lives in an echo chamber. There's no one here to show him how wrong he is. There's no one here to question him. So if you're a 25-year-old, a 26-year-old, and again, I keep saying it because it matters. I can't get a girlfriend. I can't buy a car. I can't pay my rent. I'm living in my mom's basement. This sounds good as hell. This is the reason why. This is the reason why.
Status that is based on unequal access to and power over the resources necessary for human life.
See? Mike goes, this guy's a liar and push propaganda. Yes. He has no idea what he's talking about, just pushing through. Yes. And people are listening, Mike. Yes. And people are listening and believing him. Yes. Absolutely. Is capitalism a system? Free market seem like a... Well, I'm going to cover this second. I'm going to get there. This is a long show. I'm going to get there, Phil. I'm going to go... I have something to cover this. I know Phil's ready to chomp at the bit. You will enjoy what I'm going to show. I will have something, but here we go.
And commerce. So this is a pretty theoretical definition. No society is ever completely 100% sticking to these rules at every single level of human interaction, whether it's the US, China, Brazil, Russia, South Africa.
Yep. Robin says, capitalism started when barter first began. Yes. I have something you need. You have something I want. We both gain. True. But again, you're right. But when I'm not being taught civics, when I'm not being taught real history, when I'm being taught garbage social studies, or not even that, or just math and science only, or just math and English only, not even that good, just so I can pass a test, how am I supposed to know that? And again, when the system fails me, and then it tells me one of the greatest things, I mean great meaning amazing, not good, amazing that Barack Obama did to destroy healthcare was when he said that Obamacare provided a marketplace. I'm not joking. Some of you are going to throw up. Braun, get a bucket. Don't say I didn't warn you. I've heard more than one person go, the free market doesn't work. Obamacare did it. He gave you a free market. It didn't work. Gave you the marketplace. Like Obamacare was the free market. I'm not joking. I have had multiple people tell me that Obamacare is the free market. And because it doesn't work, it's because the free market doesn't work. I know. I know. Don't yell at me. I didn't say it. I'm telling you, I hear that. This stuff works.
Every one of these countries has a blend of capitalist and socialist, even feudal conventions overlapping with one another. But in this era of global capitalism, at the end of the day, the biggest decisions boil down to what generates profit for an elite class of business.
It's always about elite class. It's always about elite class. Mastermind says, I don't think we need to get rid of capitalism. We need to get rid of Citizens United. I agree completely. Citizens United was a disaster. I completely agree. I'm with you. I'm going to cover that in the next video. There are certain things that if you're going to have a government, it should do, right? And it doesn't do the things that it should do. And this other guy covers this much better than I usually do, so that's why I'm going to bring him up. So yes. Super says that this schmuck definitely believes in the labor theory of value. Yes, which is one of the dumbest for those you don't know, thank you for this, weapons. There are people who still to this day believe the labor theory of value. What that means is no matter what, if you work on something, whatever labor you put in, that's the value of the thing. The labor you put in is the value. And therefore, unless you get the full value of that, whatever that labor value is, your boss is by default stealing from you. I know that sounds dumb, but it is dumb. Super Weapons is correct. But that's an actual thing that Marxists believe. They honestly believe that. They'll say it. Well, whatever value he gave, you didn't pay him, so you stole. Okay. I don't even know if I want to talk about how dumb that is. The part I'll bring up at least is saying this. So then how do I value the labor? What dollar value do I put on it? So if I put 2 hours, whatever that value is, in making a chair, since we see chairs there, and my labor's worth $25, I don't, wherever we manage to get that money, that number from, we get 20. So that chair's worth $50. Why? Because I put 2 hours of labor into it, $50. That's the theory of value. So if that's the value. So that chair should be sold $50 and I should get $50. Why? Because I made the chair. No discussion of marketing, no discussion of getting tools, no discussion of training, none. No discussion of transportation, none. Not just that. What if no one wants the chair? What if it's a shitty chair and nobody wants it, but you put 2 hours into it? According to that theory, it's still worth $50, but nobody wants it. $50. It is insanely stupid. It makes no sense. And yes, Superman's correct, and he believes it. So all those things are true. It's insanely dumb, makes zero sense, and he believes it. Correct. Yes.
Men. And for the last century, at least, we've been predicting the end of that. To give you an idea, the term late-stage capitalism has been around for over 100 years. 100 years later, we're still waiting for that to mean we're getting close. Because every time it runs into a crisis, capitalism hasn't died. It's mostly just been tweaked. Take the biggest tweak.
He's not wrong, but it isn't capitalism anymore. That's the issue. Yes, Bronner says this moron doesn't know what capitalism is. Color me shocked. I bet he thinks we live in a democracy and democracy is fixing by communism. Effing moron. Okay, I knew you guys would love this. That's why I put it up. I knew some of you want to throw up. Mike is probably throwing shoes at his computer right now. I know. I say this because this is what our youth watches. This is what they believe and hear. This is why I'm trying to talk to them. How can we get them to believe that capitalism is worth anything if they believe this?
We've ever seen. After capitalism went through its greatest liquidity crisis in 1929, the stock market crashed.
Promise I just puked to the floor. Thanks, Larry. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Yes, Obamacare does not equal free market. I know, D. I am aware of this. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Robin says, Larry, I'm not yelling at you about it. More reference to the sad state of generations that think capitalism is. Thank you. Capitalism is a crime. They believe that. Yes, absolutely.
And the world went into a 10-year depression. High unemployment, poverty, a nearly 50% cut in production, and price deflation, meaning wages taking a huge hit. Thousands of banks went out of business, millions of people were suddenly living through much scarier times, and all immediately following the peak of robber baron fortunes. If there was ever a moment where you could say that capitalism should have ended, it was then.
See, he thinks it should have ended. He doesn't explain how at all. It should just end cap. What do? Then we just take the money and start handing it out, I guess.
But it didn't. It was tweaked. Keynesian economics took over as the new governing model of capitalism. The primary imperative, keeping the elite as the elite, didn't go away. But now their status was conditional on new things like full employment.
Okay, the point is, if this is true, for the sake of argument, that the plan was just to keep the elite, and now you can't do that. It's based upon employment. Who decided that? When did that happen?
This is where the New Deal, the welfare state.
Okay, that's not how that works. It's actually 1913 when we bring in the Fed. But he won't say that. Right? Because he said after the robber barons. That was 1913, the Fed. Yes. Right? So, but he won't say that. He's going to go right to FDR.
Fordist production model all came into being and brought capitalism back from the brink all the way up until the 1970s. Capitalism.
So his answer is, see, FDR saved capitalism because of socialist stuff, and that saved it till the 70s because then Reagan was evil. I'm not joking. I wish I was joking. If you hear people on the left speak, they often speak like this. Why? They watch stuff like this. So they think this. Of course it
was saved by disciplining the elite, not challenging their status. But that very thing ultimately became the source of a new crisis. 40 years of wage growth became just too much for capitalists who were making profits.
See, capitalists hate workers. And they're sitting at home in their mansions going, these workers are making too much money. He believes that. He just said it. He said workers were making too much money compared to the capitalists. He just said that. So you're telling me that some guy who owns whatever, IBM or whatever is the big company, Ford, is a gazillionaire, and he's sitting in his house going, I think these workers are making too much. Let's go screw them. Right? That is what he said. He believes that. Listen, he says it.
Wage growth became just too much for capitalists who were making profits, just not faster than workers were getting better off.
That can't have that.
From the late 70s on, then, capitalists revolted.
Capitalists revolted in the 70s. Nothing to do with the mass immigration from the 1960s. Nothing with the war on poverty, the war on drugs, nothing with that. Nothing to do with Nixon coming off the gold standard in 71, silver standard in 71. Nothing to do with that. Not that. It's because capitalists were pissed. He literally said that. Nothing to do with Nixon. 1971? Nope. No. 1913? No. Not the Fed? No. It's because capitalists were pissed because people were making money. He actually said that. Again, 2 million subscribers. This video itself, which is brand new, has like 400,000 views, if not more. I don't know how much it is. Super Buttons goes, Larry, you know this guy's never read the book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. Wouldn't read it if you gave it to him. Has never read it, would never read it. Phil, thank you for $2. 1930s, third way economics, like USA, Italy, and Germany. That is a third way. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Absolutely. You're not wrong. Yes. All righty. Hold on here. Kate says, D, I feel that the multi-comment show fires up the brains in comments. Multi-comment shows? Did I miss something? Hold on. It's a good thing. I don't know. Phil says, robber barons, who'd they rob? Cheaper, better steel? Cheaper, cleaner source of energy? Meant people could provide the basic needs with less hours work. No, but they were making too much money. And then the capitalists got mad. And not the Fed didn't happen in 2013. It's mad capitalists. And then 1971, it's just pissed off capitalists. It's not anything Nixon did. Shut up. Shut up. Yes. All righty. Let's see here. Super Weapon says, who needs incorrect history books when you have goofy like this confabulating on economics? True. Yes, absolutely.
Was going to need to get much leaner for workers. And this new era was kicked off with the Volcker shock.
See,
a
that's
20% hike in interest rates by the Fed that skyrocketed unemployment and simultaneously set up the US to elect Reagan, the UK to elect Thatcher.
It's because of Reagan. He screwed it all up and trashed everything.
And damn Germany to elect Helmut Kohl. Even countries where socialists were in power, like France, suddenly found themselves forced to change their economic policy drastically. Volcker reminded the world that as long as it's capitalism, the imperative of keeping the rich wealthy doesn't go away. And this time, it would survive on the condition of cheap consumer goods. Neoliberalism was the new name of the game. The welfare state was shuttered. The average job started to...
The welfare... Did you hear that? It's over. Damn. Bronner, where were you? The welfare state was shuttered. Where you been? Damn, Bronner, where you been? He just said it. You missed it. The welfare... It's over. We've won. Damn, I didn't even know. This must have... Oh... This is what Nosy was talking about. We wouldn't know that we already won. Damn. Hold on. He did say that, right? Hold on. He did say the welfare state was shuttered, right?
The imperative of keeping the rich wealthy doesn't go away. And this time, it would survive on the condition of cheap consumer goods. Neoliberalism was the new name of the game.
Got it.
The welfare state was shuttered. The average...
Done. Well, I thought he said that. The welfare state shuttered. Bruno, why are you complaining? It's gone already. Got your mouth open, talking trash. D, why are you mad? It's done. Welfare state was shuttered. Reagan did it. Shuttered it. Gone. Done and done. Whew. We libertarians now. Had no idea.
Average jobs started to pay less. Unions got crushed. Everyone started needing crazy debt to get by. And to offset everything else getting worse, the new social contract was held together by cheap TVs.
Oh, there was a new social contract. I don't remember signing that one. That's what happened. I didn't sign the new. See? Bronner, see, we got high. He was right. Bronner said he must have got high that day. We must have got high that day. We didn't sign the contract, and then we screwed it up, and the welfare state came back. Damn. That's our fault. Damn. We messed it up, Bronner. We should have got high that day. We'd have got rid of welfare state.
And shirts for $1. But this, predictably, led to another crisis.
Oh, okay.
You can't have wages decline so much that people's basic necessities depend on taking on huge amounts of debt forever.
Oh, you can't?
The housing market collapse created one financial crisis after another.
The signs were everywhere, but now it's official. We are in a recession.
Major financial institutions have teetered on the edge of collapse, and some have failed.
Okay.
2008 was another one of those moments where it really felt like this whole thing was cooked.
Yeah, but we already got rid of the welfare state, so well, you care. I understand. Sue Webbin says, I bet you this guy hates capitalism so much, his channel's monetized because, yeah, hate those dirty capitalists. True.
Neoliberalism had pushed global finance to chase extreme levels of debt at the same time as wages took a nosedive. Once banks realized the system didn't have the liquidity they thought it did, the crisis started bouncing from one part of the economy to another until the central bank stepped in. They brought the bank's securities onto their own balance sheets, bailing out the banks and leaving the rest of us to absorb the costs. Houses got foreclosed on, jobs disappeared that never came back, and entire generations have now come into the labor market completely unable to match the wealth of their parents and their parents before them.
That's true.
And now that we've been in this situation for a couple...
And it's not because the Fed. Not because that. It's not because we went off the gold and the silver standard. Not because of that. It's because pissed off capitalists. They're just mean.
Decades. What do the elites suggest as a solution?
Greatest life. Tell me.
New tweak.
On
the global stage, the U.S. is starting to pull out of the global exchange and production system and switching to a growth strategy that depends on inflation and price shocks. Wars are exploding all over the world with the chief objective of making oil costs skyrocket, increasing the...
So you were wondering, see, Mike, you don't understand. Mike thinks he understands foreign policy. He doesn't. This guy does. The reason why we're fighting is because capitalists are pissed off that the oil prices are too low. He just said it. I know I sound so retarded saying it. I'm sorry I do, but it's he just said it. He just said it. So Mike, stop. You think you know, you don't. The reason is because the capitalists are pissed off because the oil price is too low. So they're fighting to raise the oil prices. Dummy, don't you know how it works? Listen to him. Tell you what's up.
Growth strategy that depends on inflation and price shocks.
See?
Wars are exploding all over the world with the chief objective of making oil costs skyrocket, increasing the sale of American weapons, and bringing up prices for everything else without any hope of them going down after...
That's the thing, Mike. Stop with your security. It's not that. It's because the rich people got mad again. Whenever they get mad, they do this. And there was never any wars before. There was only wars now to raise the oil prices. Okay? God, give it the program, guys.
The oil shocks pass. That's on the policy side. Let's go back to Fink's letter for a second.
Okay, let's do that.
In the face of all the problems he lists, Larry gives us his own solution.
Okay.
Just invest. He says it himself. In the last 30 years, wages aren't growing as fast as returns on the stock market. $1 in the S&P 500 grew 15 times faster than that same dollar as a median wage. So Larry's advice is, why not just hitch a ride on the one thing that's going up?
Okay, to be forward, who's he talking to? Fink is talking to investors. So to be fair, that's true. Yes. Mike says this moment refers to only modern things last 5-ish years because he's known nothing about causes that affect current economics or geopolitics or that are connected. And he doesn't care. So yes, and he doesn't care. You are correct, and he doesn't care. It's like if you were to sit down and talk to him, he'd be like, stop talking to me because what you're saying makes sense, Mike, and it doesn't fit my worldview, so you're bad. That's what he would do. Super Weapon says, wait till he finds out about farm subsidies, aka welfare, keeping the crop prices high. Okay. Maybe you didn't hear him. The welfare state is dismantled. Okay? Happened like years ago. Where you been? You're not paying attention? God. Okay, just saying. Libertarian, thank you. You are cool with Clint Russell. Please remind him libertarians are not anti-immigration and diversity. I feel expresses soft racist sentiments. I don't really talk to Clint, to tell you the truth. If I see him someplace, we're cordial, but I don't really talk to him. We're not like buddies. He doesn't come on my show. I don't come on his show and talk about me. I talk about him. I'm not like anti, but we're sometimes in the same rooms because we're both in the libertarian world. But yeah, not really my thing. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm being forward, right? Some people I know a lot. I hang out with. I talk to. I'm not mad at Clint. Like if I see me, I say hi. He says hi to me. We're not mad at each other, but we're not like buddies. So just being forward.
Well, you can probably think of why without me having to tell you. In a country where 1 in 4 people live paycheck to paycheck and millions are dealing with huge student loan debt, having money to put aside in savings, let alone financial investments, is just not something that's within reach for a lot of people.
That's
Those
true.
who are most directly targeted by the violence of capitalism are the ones with the least flexibility.
See, here he says it, targeted by the violence of capitalism. Now, what did Mamdani say about collectivism? He said the warmth of collectivism. And this guy just said the violence of capitalism. This is where they get this stuff from. This is how I know what they think. When you guys go, Larry, they don't think this. Yes, they do. I watch this stuff. I hear their words. I know how they talk. This is what they do. Yes.
Ability to do things Larry's way, which I don't have to tell you either. He's only suggesting because it just so happens to be the solution that lines his pockets. The head of an investment company currently trying to get younger generations stoked about investing on TikTok obviously doesn't want that for altruistic reasons.
Well, yes, but I would like people to want to have more property in general. So, yes. Mike says the violence of capitalism needs to define that. No, he doesn't, Mike. He just says shit. He just says it. Who's gonna call him out? He doesn't do anything live. He just puts out videos and says stuff. Ain't nobody corrected him. He just says stuff. So, but if capitalism is violent, that's why they think they can be violent capital. True. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. This is the point that I keep bringing up. Some of you, Mike, you understand this, so I'm talking to others, but you'll get this, obviously. Why does it seem okay for so many people to strike out, fight, and be violent on the left? Why? Because of exactly this. If you believe that capitalism is violence, and he does, if you believe that, then it makes sense that you would want to fight back, right? It makes total, this is right in line. If you believe that, of course you would want to be violent in return. Of course you would. You're exactly correct. That's why they can be violent. Why do you think so many were okay or happy about Mr. Luigi? You know what I'm talking about, who did that dirty deed in Manhattan. Why? Evil, violent capitalists, okay to be violent. You've hit that perfectly, Mike. Thank you for bringing that up. That's exactly correct. Yes. Notice says, I know it's not an AMA, but would you explain the slogan was used by Bill Clinton and Obama and others, but saying grow the economy? Can you explain what that means so I can put a spin on it? I know this is not AMA, but would you explain this slogan was used by Bill Clinton and Obama and others, but it was saying grow the economy. Can you explain what that means? All right. The other video coming up will explain a bit better, but the concept of growing an economy is as you create more value, you by default create more money and or capital by default because you create more value. If you create more value, then more people can get a piece of it. You grow your economy. That's the concept of growing the economy. I'm not sure if that's what you mean, if that's what you mean by that. But yes, that's the concept, right? If it is a zero-sum game, a fixed pie, which most socialists believe that it is a fixed pie. So therefore, if Elon Musk makes money, you lost money. If Elon Musk gets more money, me and Mike lost money. That is how they think. It is inaccurate, but it is how they think. But if you think, no, the pie is growing, then Elon Musk can get more money and not affect me, Mike, or you at all. Or in certain cases, help us, depending. One of the things you want to recognize is one of the things that Elon Musk has done is because he cared about ownership. Now, I'm not saying I'm a big Elon Musk fan or not. I'm just saying what he did. This is a fact. He asked a lot of his employees in SpaceX and those places to not take higher salaries, but to take stock in the company. And he made, I think it's 400 of his employees millionaires. And you went, well, that's rich people. No, this was like the janitor. I'm not joking. This is like the guy who cleans up. That guy now is worth like $2 million, $3 million. I'm not joking. That's a real thing. Like the regular engineer who like put together how to put a part of the rocket together. That dude who was making $50 an hour is now worth $40 million, that kind of thing. That actually happened because he made the pie bigger. So I hope that's what you're saying. I'm not sure if I answered your question or not.
But Beyond the practical reasons why this is BS, advice like this reads more like a confession to me. Did you know that 62% of Americans have money in the stock market? And honestly, that's not a bad thing. You should have some kind of retirement fund.
I thought you're not a capitalist.
Or something. But
why?
Anyway, stats like these make it seem like a majority of us have something to gain from economic growth. Except about 90% of all stock.
Okay, here what he just said. He said, you know, to see if any of us have any value in economic growth. And he goes, except, you know, the stock market. Okay, the stock market isn't the only aspect of economic growth. If it was only that, he'd be right. But see, what he does, he goes, see, now the stock market is capitalism. That's not what it is.
Stocks are held by just the top 10% of investors. Worse even, the top 1% own about half. Meaning that when the stock market grows, when the economy is doing well, it's really only benefiting the top 10%. And it's specifically doing that at the expense of the 90% that are left. The little money we can get from our investments is
so when Elon Musk makes his gazillion dollars, unless it collapses, it hasn't so far, but if it might, but unless it does, how does it affect me? It doesn't. Rona says, you are correct, Larry. They think the size of the pie is fixed. Moron. True. Yes, that's how they think. Absolutely. So if Elon gets money, I just lost money. How? Shut up. But shut up. You lost money. Why? I had everything. Says Larry, thoughts on Michael Rappaport and Dave Portnoy potentially running for New York City mayor in 2029. This is the opposition. No chance whatsoever. An absolute joke. Zero chance whatsoever. Never going to happen in a million years. It's a PR stunt. It's a PR stunt.
Cover for the fact that that money is coming out of our wages. Between 2018 and 2022, after Trump's tax cuts, corporate profits exploded. And instead of putting that money into raising wages or doing R&D, billions went to stock buybacks and dividends. And when Time magazine looked...
Now that part's true. He's not wrong. That's true. But that doesn't mean that doesn't affect capitalists. That's them doing it. That's a system they set up, which I'll cover in a second. Mike says 4,400. Thank you for that clarity. Became millionaires instantly. How many millionaires did AOC and Mamdani make?
Looked at some of these numbers, they found that the biggest offenders not only gave more money to their shareholders, they siphoned off more money from consumers by raising prices. Pepsi laid off hundreds and raised prices by double-digit percentages 8 quarters straight. Comcast rates went up and they fired 3,000 people.
Yes, the rates keep going up no matter what because inflation goes up. They're going to fire people anyway. So the rates are going to go up no matter what. The question is, are they firing people? They are firing people. It's true. And it's happening everywhere.
United Healthcare increased claim denials 800%.
United Healthcare. Luigi. Why would he say that? Why would he say that? This was recent. This is like a week old. Why would he say that? Yeah. So Robin says, this guy's oozing envy and feeding into his base. True. Nosy, stock market's rigged. Yes. I've always said the stock market should not be, the stock market should be, and I mean this seriously, it should be run by a gaming commission. I'm dead serious. It's just gambling. I'm not against gambling. But the problem with the stock market is we've somehow made it to where it seems to be, I don't know, legitimate in some way, shape. It's not, but it seems to be legitimate in some way. It's just gambling. It's casino. So just say it's casino. Have it run by a gaming commission, not act like this. No, it's utterly rigged, just like a casino is rigged. But like we know the casino is rigged. So have it run by a gaming commission and have a stock market. The fact that there's like an SEC is stupid. Gaming commission. Move on.
And gave their investors $15 billion in buybacks. The whole just invest.
Robin says, so we should have a bad economy to deny the rich from making more money. When I can't get a raise in pay because of a bad economy, I lose. No, you don't. You'll just get more money. The government just give you more money. Robin, stop. How? Shut up. You just get more money. Okay? You just get more money. People need facts. So how would you combat his talking points to the left? I do it all the time. I do it all the time. I'm going to show you another video, which is one of the best videos I've seen on it's also a relatively new one, on capitalism too, which will cover a lot of his points. I think you'll enjoy it. So yeah, you'll see a bunch of them. I'm about to do
Strategy isn't a solution. It isn't going to make capitalism work for more people.
Yeah.
It's a cover for capitalism to continue doing what it's built to do.
Just a cover.
Exploit the poor, enrich the elite, and keep that cycle going forever.
That's it.
When Fink says capitalism is...
He actually believes that. He loves this. He's like, yes, this is the whole point. It is just to help them out. That's it. That's what he says. Knows he says it. Get rid of the Fed. Yes. 100%. But he doesn't bring the Fed up at all. Cases you run by the Amish. I love that idea. Cage. Oh, so good. I love that. Yes, absolutely. Robin says, Larry, I don't get my money from a bad economist. Don't want government substance. Then they put you in jail. He's got the plan. Look at that hairdo. That guy's got the plan. So, yeah. So, Mastermind says, no, casino is regulated. Its stock market is gained by... That's my point. Yes, you're right, Mastermind. So, regulate it like a casino. The gaming commission. I agree. It'd be fairer. It would be fairer. Yes, it would absolutely be fairer. Yes.
Is fracturing. What he really means is that he and his buddies are giving away the game. And he would really like it if capitalist countries would realize they're getting cocky.
So see, the thing is, this guy, he's figured out what Larry Fink's talking. I didn't, he figured out. Yes. Anyway, I just want you to see that piece. I think it's about done. But here is what I think is a decent one, which I think you may enjoy. This was, I thought, actually one of the best, there's many of them, but it's one of the best ones I've seen on explaining capitalism and what it's supposed to be and how it works. It's actually pretty decent. See if I can find it here. All right. This is from a place called Eurodollar University. They're pretty popular too, but not as popular as the other guys. The other guys are more popular than these guys are.
When most people hear the words free market capitalism, they immediately think of Wall Street.
Yep.
Stock traders yelling across a trading floor, quarterly earnings reports, asset prices that are flashing across the CNBC screen. And because that's the image most people have.
And that's why I'm angry at the stock market. We don't think of a casino, but it's a casino. So if we had made the stock market the casino that it is, when we think of capitalism, we wouldn't think of a casino. Like, we know capitalism, Las Vegas. We don't do that. Capitalism, Atlantic City. We don't do that. We go gambling, Las Vegas, gambling, Atlantic City. Capitalism, stock market, same thing. He's right.
They think that when stock prices go up, then capitalism must be doing well. But that's not really capitalism. Capitalism and free markets, something else entirely. It's about commerce. It's about society and economy, not the next retirement account. The picture everyone has is deeply misleading. Wall Street is not capitalism. Financial markets are not the same thing as free markets. And stock traders don't really trade capital. At its core, capitalism is not about money managers moving paper claims around in financial speculation. It's definitely not about politically connected corporations receiving favors from the government. And most of all, free market capitalism is not protecting large institutions from failure when they make bad choices. The capital in capitalism, properly understood, is productive enterprise, not equity shares, not money. It's about
productive enterprise. That's what capitalism actually is. Productive enterprise. He's just explained it. It's not a system that keeps elite people elite and poor people poor, and when they get met. No, it is that right there. Productive enterprise.
People organizing resources, labor, tools, knowledge, and risk into sustainable commercial activity that creates value for more than just business customers. It's about a bakery that produces bread people want to buy, a manufacturer who makes useful goods, a farm that grows food, a plumber who solves your biggest problem, or a software company that builds a product that people voluntarily pay for. That is the essential heart of capitalism. Commercial businesses and commercial enterprise, not financial markets. And the key...
See that? Commercial businesses, commercial enterprises, not financial markets. That's not what capitalism is. That's not.
Ingredient in all of it is competition.
Bingo.
Without competition, capitalism starts to become something else entirely.
Yes, it does.
So let's start with the word capital. In everyday conversation, people often mistakenly substitute the word money for capital. That's because society has become hyper-financialized. We've adopted...
This is what you've heard me say 1,000 times. What is crushing American economy is that we financialized everything. Finance is supposed to be maybe 4% of your economy. It's like 20% of our economy, particularly when you account insurance. It's insane. What's destroying our economy is the financialization of our economy. We make our money just by moving money, which is not capitalism. We're not providing value.
Wall Street's practice to confuse capital for investment funds or ownership claims. But in the deeper economic sense, capital is not money sitting in an account or a stock certificate changing hands.
Thank you.
Capital is productive capacity. It is a collection of tools, equipment, systems, the knowledge and infrastructure, and finally, determined organization that allows people to produce goods and services over time. A profitable commercial enterprise is true capital, not the financial means we use to come up with some monetary value for it, some moment.
Thank you. He's saying, which is what I keep talking about, he is talking about the idea that the financial system simply finds a way to, decide how much money this is worth. Right? That's what, or maybe to finance it, but it doesn't actually do the thing.
Monetary value for it. It's the restaurant that can serve customers every day, pay its workers, cover its costs, and earn a profit. That is capital. Or some trucking company that moves goods efficiently, a machine shop with skilled employees and reliable customers. That is capital. They create the real value in the real world that financial markets attempt to trade. Now compare.
Bingo. That's just an attempt to trade. It is a different issue completely.
That was someone buying and selling shares of a company 10 times a day. That activity may affect prices. We call it value. It may provide liquidity and help financial markets function, but the act of trading a stock is not the same thing as building a business, producing a good, serving a customer, or maintaining that profitable enterprise.
Maintaining a profitable enterprise. He is cooking. This is what capitalism is.
Financial markets can serve capitalism, but they are not capitalism itself. They are an add-on. At best, they help the commercial system become more productive and therefore better at what it does. At worst, they become a casino detached from reality, extracting value rather than adding something to it.
He literally said the thing that I've been talking about forever. When you have a financialized economy like we do, they actually extract value. They don't create value. One of the reasons why America is having so many problems now, there are many reasons, but one of them is we're financialized so strongly. Our financial industry is sucking the power, the energy out of our actual systems. We're not paying for value. We're servicing debt. We're paying people to move money. That doesn't get my iPhone to me any faster. That doesn't get my bread cooked any faster. It doesn't get my Amazon package sent to me any faster. It doesn't get anything better for me. That's the biggest issue. And that's what's happening in America right now. And of course,
if capital is an enterprise, then what is the free market? Well, again, it's not simply a place where financial assets are traded. A free market is a commercial environment where buyers and sellers can voluntarily exchange goods and services, where employers and employees get together and then become Adam Smith's miraculous invisible hand.
And see, he's not even saying he's against unions. He's not. Unions are part of it when you don't add government. Unions are simply free people deciding to get together, right? Getting together to keep people together, to negotiate together. What's wrong with that? Unions are fine if there's no government involved. Labor is a part of capitalism, right? Labor is a part of capitalism. And if labor is expensive, because labor is valuable. If labor is not valuable, it's not expensive. That's how it works.
This exchange is where prices emerge from supply and demand, where businesses compete for customers, and where bad decisions carry consequences, or at least they should. In a real free market, the customer has power. If you charge too much, provide poor service, or sell a bad product, they can go somewhere else. If you innovate, if you lower costs and improve quality or serve people better, you can gain business and gain staying power, all the while elevating the living standards of everyone, whether they're directly involved or not, whether they even realize it or not. If you have a retirement account, and if you've ever wondered whether crypto belongs inside of it, capitalism's so powerful and it has been so incredibly successful, it's almost impossible to describe. Not because business owners are morally superior or that commercial markets are perfect. They are certainly not.
Note, he doesn't say anyone's better than anyone else.
This is and always will be a messy process. There are informational errors and bad judgment, honest mistakes, and let's face it, not so honest mistakes. But because competition forces businesses to serve others in order to survive, the overall system...
He keeps pushing on competition. What stops competition? Government monopoly. Yes. Yes. Andrew says it. We're talking about breaking monopolies. We never about where the monopolies get their power from. We talk about holding Wall Street accountable, but not the structure in which Wall Street stands on. Yes, it's government support. It's government support. That's the entire piece, right? Bronner says it. Government is a monopoly. Yes, they always support it. Yes, I completely agree. Super Weapon says the best way I found of explaining capitalism is farming. The basics of running a farm to then trade on the agora free market is the easiest bridge for uninformed leftists. I like the idea of, because I would say farmers are entrepreneurs. They're the original entrepreneurs, right? Yes, they're the original entrepreneurs. Notice it says monopolies are not run by cartels. It's true. You know, it's a good point. Now we rarely actually have monopolies. That's true. We usually have cartels or oligarchies. That's what we usually have. I think that's right. Sometimes monopolies, but very often it's oligarchies. Yes. Robin says, as a laborer in the construction trades, I know that labor is valuable. I also know how powerful refusal to tolerate management stupidity can make a company lose laborers who are the actual power. Yes, you also know something else then, Robin. It matters on what type of laborer you are, right? If you've got a situation where you've got a ton of carpenters and they don't need many carpenters, your labor ain't that important anymore. But I don't have any carpenters. Oh my God, your labor is critically important, right? So the market chooses that also.
Advances, just not in a straight line. For all the leaps and bounds, there are pockets of, let's call it volatility, not in the financial market sense, but at times when success seems not quite as successful. And in those periods, it's innovation that provides the pathway out of them. A business can't simply declare itself successful. It has to convince customers. It has to earn revenue, and it has to do that while facing alternatives. This is why competition is not a minor feature of capitalism. Competition is the key, the central mechanism. If there is no competition.
And that's the key that most people who talk about capitalism will not even bring up. They won't even bring up. The critical aspect to make capitalism work is competition. If you don't have competition, you have something else, which is what the young other guy was talking about. That's the issue. Phil, thank you for the $1. He says, some people at the high end of the economy hire someone else to negotiate their compensation. Thousands of people chipping in to act as an agent. A union isn't unreasonable if it's voluntary. Agreed. As long as the government's not forcing you to be part of a union, to force you to not be part of a union, as long as just people deciding to get together, what do I care? I completely agree. Yes.
Prices stop carrying honest information. Customers lose choice. Firms become lazy and Sovietized. Innovation slows down to the point it can seem.
Note the word he used, Sovietized.
Like it just vanishes. Costs go up even as quality falls. And businesses, they start spending more energy protecting their position than improving their product. A market without competition is not really a free market. It's just a private power with financial numbers thrown on top.
Thank you.
And that private power can become just as abusive as public power.
Bingo.
So anyone who genuinely supports free market capitalism must also support the preservation of competition, which brings us to an uncomfortable subject for many people, and that's a guy by the name of Teddy Roosevelt. A lot of people make this same strange mistake. They assume that being pro-capitalism means...
I'm pretty sure this video is in the description. I think I put them all in the description. I think I put all the videos in it. I think I did. I think I'm about to put them all in the description.
Means being pro big business, but that's not true. Capitalism and big business are not the same thing either.
Thank you.
There can be, and there ought to be large firms in a free market system. That's simply because most of the time, Big businesses become big because they serve customers well, they innovate, and they operate efficiently. That's not the problem. Scale itself is not automatically evil or inherent.
Yes, it is if you're a socialist. Yes, it is. The fact that you got big makes you evil. The fact that you did large makes you evil. Yes, that's the issue. Nuna says, yes, Larry, America's worth celebrating its pride and perfections. Imagine if USA never existed. I agree. I agree completely. I'm not fighting you on that.
Destructive. A smaller firm becoming a big one is where the vast majority of economic growth and employment actually comes from.
But here's the issue, though. Some people don't want to be big. Once you financialize everything, growth becomes critical no matter what. That's a problem. Growth is not by default good or bad, unless you're in a financial sector, in which case you must always grow. This is why the stock market says growth always matters. Every quarter, every 3 months, grow, grow, grow. If you're on a farm and you sell whatever, $1 million of the stuff every single day, every month, and that's what you're good for every year, why do I care? If making $70,000 a year makes you happy, why am I mad at you? If making $700,000, why am I mad at you? Who cares? But once you financialize it, you have to keep growing. That is the part that makes capitalism suck in our economy. That's the part. It's the financialization of it. And the second piece is, of course, it's the crony capitalism.
The problem begins when large firms use their size, their political influence, or their control over infrastructure to block competition. When companies collude to fix prices, or when a dominant firm uses predatory tactics to destroy competitors and then raises prices once competition is gone, that is not free market capitalism. Big corporations, which can lobby government to write regulations that smaller competitors can't afford to comply with, that's not the free market.
Now, by the way, those regulations is what you find socialists say they want more of. More regs, more regs, more regs. You know what kind of company loves lots of regulations? The big ones. They love them. They're the ones who write them. Who do you think writes these laws? Who writes the regulations? It's the corporate lobbyists. They write the laws. They write the regulations. They can't wait to have more regulations because now nobody else can in any way, shape, or form get anything done. That's the whole point. It's what makes sure that it's called corporate capture. It makes sure no one else can get involved.
Especially when those governments grant special privileges, subsidies, bailouts, or legal protections to politically connected firms. That's moving away from the free market. That's corporatism and crony capitalism.
Bingo.
That's more like a hybrid system where private profits are protected by public power. Teddy Roosevelt understood this distinction better than most modern defenders of capitalism. Roosevelt, he was not against enterprise or success. He championed wealth created through genuine production and productivity. So he recognized that trust and monopolies could strangle the competitive process. Trust busting was not an attack on capitalism. It was an attempt to save capitalism from being captured by concentrated power.
Now, the funny part is you find most people will think, well, Teddy Roosevelt was a socialist because he was a trust buster, so he must be a socialist. No, he was a capitalist. He just knew that competition is the only way you can keep capitalism going. If you don't have competition, it will eventually collapse. Yes.
To rebalance. If capitalism requires competition, then anti-competitive behavior is anti-capitalist.
Bingo.
And that means a serious defender of free markets can't simply say, let business do whatever it wants. Because businesses, like governments, they definitely seek power. They seek protection. They look to write the rules which benefit themselves at everyone else's expense. A real free market position is not big business good, government bad. A real free market position is more nuanced, more realistic.
Yes.
Competition matters first and foremost. Voluntary exchange and open entry.
Voluntary exchange and open entry. How many times do people talk about this when they talk about anything to do with capitalism? They don't. Voluntary entry. That's it. Easy entry.
Public or private, should ever be allowed to rig the game. Now, this is where the conversation needs to be practical. We can't afford to romanticize or ideal.
You hear that, Bronner? Practical. Hear that? He's with me. You're wrong on this one. See that? He's with me.
Realize free markets and free market capitalism. We have to understand people are imperfect. The system itself is imperfect. Yes, it has created more prosperity than human beings have ever considered and had ever imagined in previous.
And the other source wouldn't even say that. It has created more value than any other system. Not even close. Brought more people out of poverty than any other system. Not even close.
Previous generations, but that doesn't mean it's perfect. There is no such thing as a truly free market. Practical experience and pragmatism are paramount here. Even the most market-oriented society still depends on laws, property rights, contracts, courts, and some basic rules of exchange. If someone sells you a product based on lies or violates a contract or steals your property, you need some system for resolving all that. So the real question is not whether government is involved. The question is what kind of involvement, how much,
that's true,
and for what specific purpose.
Absolutely true. Dominic says, I've listened to a YouTuber, Mentis Wave, that this crony capitalism should more accurately be called crony socialism, corporate socialism. Oh, I like that. When he made a video on woke, I like that. Hold on, corporate socialism. That's not bad. Yeah, but then that might make the socialists think that it's good. I'm not sure. They might like that. I don't know how that works. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not really sure. We'll figure it out.
Pragmatic free market approach should aim for the minimum government interference that's necessary to protect the competitive process, because it will never be zero. That does not mean government should manage the economy. Far from it.
True.
We aren't looking for politicians to pick winners and losers. We sure as hell don't want bureaucrats micromanaging every industry.
True.
But it does mean government will have a role in mandating transparency, punishing fraud, enforcing contracts, uncovering anti-competitive practices, and where absolutely necessary, taking action against monopoly power or collusion. The goal.
That's the issue I completely agree with, right? There we go. If we're going to have a government, you look at someone like the Ayn Randers of the world, the objectivists, what they will say is courts and cops, right? And I get that concept. That's the concept that they're talking about. It's the concept he's talking about. You want to have some rules of the game, right? That show you what means what and what. The idea of for those who don't know, the idea of regulation is completely bastardized. When we first came up with these ideas in the 1700s of regulation, it meant to make regular. It didn't mean to control. We've made regulations to control. It didn't mean it was meant to make regular, meaning that the American government would say a foot is a foot, or a pound is a pound, or a dollar is a dollar. So it meant to make regular, not to control. So it didn't say what you could or couldn't do. It was to say, hey, if I say I'm going to give you a pound of sugar, this is what a pound is. And we all agree what a pound is. And if I say I'm going to give you a dollar, this is what a dollar is. It was to make it regular. And if we have contracts, there are regular rules and regulations in contracts, right? That was what it was supposed to be about. And we've made it to now it's control. And it really has wrecked it. There's no way this is what it should have been. I'm looking over at Rumble. CIA Torture Camp says, Ralph Nader always used to rant against corporate welfare. Nader was right on that. Nader was 100% right on that. He was right to hold corporations accountable for scamming people, and he was right for holding corporations accountable for scamming government. He was 100% right. I agree with him completely on that, 100%. So, yeah.
It should be simple. Keep the playing field open.
Yes.
Government should not be a partner to giant corporations or some shield for failing firms. It shouldn't turn markets into political allocation machines. The best government practice is to act as a referee. A referee is very different from being a player. A referee doesn't decide who wins. A referee makes sure the game remains playable. That's the ideal. Limited, transparent, predictable rules that are designed to preserve competition and punish deception.
That's it.
Of course,
punish deception. We don't do that. We encourage deception.
We also realize that giving people power corrupts them. Bureaucracies don't ever die. They creep and expand. So we also have to be vigilant and take action when called for in the public sector. It is always going to be a constant game of watching the watchers.
This is one of the most real explanations of what capitalism should be and could be that I've seen in a very long time. And this is relatively, it's probably within a week or so that he put it together. This is much better than so many others because it just says reality. It's like, look, it's not perfect. and you're going to have winners and losers, but that's okay. And government's going to exist, but right now, what you're seeing is crony capitalism.
As much as the watchers have to watch competitive market practices.
You're seeing crony capitalism.
We don't want to give government that first inch, but people are not angels, and free markets will never truly be perfectly free. So we make a limited deal with the devil and never stop demanding limits on both sides, public and private. So where do financial markets fit in then? Well, financial markets can be incredibly useful. In fact, they have been incredibly useful when they don't just take over. We don't become hyper financialized. They help us allocate savings.
Almost no one talks about the hyper financialization of our economy like I do and this guy does. We're both on exactly the same page. We are hyper financialized. I've watched it. Half my clients are in finance, and it's all about moving money around.
They help circulate money and become more productive engines for free market capitalism.
Supposed to.
Financial markets are where businesses go to raise money and expand. Asset prices, they help investors evaluate risks. And these markets provide liquidity, which makes it easier for people to buy and sell their ownership claims. Those are not inherently bad. When functioning well, finance supports commerce. A business needs money to build a factory.
And that's how we've been for a long time. The problem also is it used to be to where really only 1 or 2 or 3 cities, I shouldn't say countries, cities were actually doing finance, right? It was like maybe some city in Italy, maybe London, and maybe New York. And that was like it. Like that was the financial world, back many hundreds of years ago. Now it's everywhere.
To buy equipment, to hire workers, and develop a new product. Money becomes capital. Let me say it again. Money becomes capital. Banks and investors can help provide that money. And in that role, financial markets can make the real economy more efficient and more competitive. But notice the direction. Finance is supposed to serve productive enterprise. It's supposed to be a means, not an end. The problem is that modern financial markets have often become the end themselves. Instead of asking, how can finance help businesses produce more value? The system often asks, how can financial players generate returns from financial activity itself?
That is such a key point. I can't scream enough about this. We believe that if people are making money from financial transactions, they're doing capitalism. They're not. They're not providing value. They're not growing the pie, right? I want to repeat it because that part matters a lot. It's critical to understand that's how it works.
Themselves. Instead of asking, how can finance help businesses produce more value? The system often asks, how can financial players generate returns from financial activity itself? Churn and volatility. That shift matters.
That encourages volatility. Volatility will happen already. I don't want to encourage it. I want to encourage stability. There will be volatility. Stuff is going to happen. But these markets, they are encouraging volatility. That's the problem.
Finance becomes detached from the commercial economy. It can become extractive by rewarding leverage, complexity, and speculative short-term gains over.
He just mentioned it. It rewards complexity. The system should not reward complexity. It should reward simplicity. It should reward getting the product or service to you as fast as possible. No, once it's financed, it rewards complexity.
Long-term productive capacity. A stock market boom does not necessarily mean the real economy is healthy. A rising index does not automatically mean workers are more productive, that businesses are more competitive, or customers are better served. Sometimes asset prices rise because of cheap credit speculation.
Speculation, all those things.
Government support, or because the world was convinced that equities were the key to everyone's retirement. And once that happened, Wall Street swooped in to cement its newfound central place in everybody's lives by giving them a story about stocks and stock markets. Wall Street says they are capital. They provide valuable insight into Main Street, and it's all marketing bullshit. That is financialization, not free market capitalism. It's a transfer.
And the reason why I bring this up, the reason why I'm going to talk about this is because the biggest reason, this is actually a July 4th show. That's what it really is. July 3rd, but July 4th show. Is America worth celebrating? That's what this really is about. Why wouldn't it be? It wouldn't be. Because it has failed at its promise. That will be a reason why it wouldn't be. Because people are screwing people over. Because it's failed in whatever X, Y, that would be a reason why it wouldn't be. That is why people, particularly young people, are upset and angry and don't want this to work out. And many of them are actually anti-American in many ways. Many of them are. Why? Because the system isn't working for them. Their response and their reason is because capitalism has failed us. That is their answer. Capitalism has failed us. And what I'm saying is, it's not that capitalism has failed us. It's that we don't have capitalism. What we have is crony capitalism. What we have is corporate socialism. What we have is some other thing that isn't really capitalism right now. We're not allowing ourselves to have real competition. In certain cases throughout the world, but surely locally, we have created everywhere cartels. We've created everywhere monopolies, oligarchies. This is repairable, and there is hope. And here is the biggest reason why there is. Of all the other nations in the world, if at the top, the leader of the day does not make this change, it cannot change. There is no bottom up in Russia. There is no bottom up in China. There is no bottom up even in Germany. That's not a thing. But can we do it here? Yes, there is. We have a federal system. We have localized people. There is a bottom up. We can make changes here. We can make a shift. That is the hope of America. The hope of America is its people, not its government. If we can break this, we can do a bottom up change and get us back to the local things we should be at, understand what capitalism actually is, and moving things forward. But what we can't do is go, well, these people who are youngsters, they don't know any better, and blah, blah, blah. We can't do that, because here's the thing to remember. 20 years from now, they're the voter base. 20 years from now, the 30-somethings are the voter base. And if they've decided that the only answer is what the first idiot was talking about with his socialization and blah, 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 they're going to vote for that all day, all night. And they're going to believe all the other stuff is a lie. And you might go, but yeah, I'll be, 70 or whatever. Yeah, but it's fine. But your family's not going to love you. It's not going to work. Now, I know you might say, Larry, are you being like pro-American? I am. It's true. Who else could I possibly bring on to be pro-American? Who could I bring on to be pro-American tonight at 10:30 at night? Who would stay up 10:30 at night and talk to me about being pro-American? There's only one guy. The man, the myth, the legend, Michael Voss is here. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Got some firecrackers going off in the background. My dog is hating that. But what can you do?
Oh, I'm sorry. The Khan is hating it. Yes.
Well, a lot of people's dogs and those with PTSD, they have a couple of difficulties at this time of year. But for everyone else, it's a great celebration, and it's beautiful because America is beautiful.